Hi there, welcome to the latest episode of my 10-minute moan. And the topic of this 10-minute moan is the Labour MSP who has been charged with two offences, one pertaining to photographs that he had of children, and a second later charge where he was charged with placing hidden cameras inside Holyrood. Holyrood, a place that's been visited by 200,000 children, while this Labour MSP, Colin Smythe, has been acting as an MSP. And it gets even stranger because Colin Smythe was given over 3 weeks access from his initial charge to visit the scene of what turned out to be an alleged crime. Because Holyrood now, there is a charge with him placing cameras, hidden cameras, within the building he had access to for over 3 weeks after his initial charge, which is absolutely bonkers, because it took 3 weeks until his security pass was taken off him, and he has, at least on one occasion, gained access to that building. Now, all the things that I'm reporting on are already in the public domain. They have all been put in the public domain. Every piece of information I'll talk about in this video by the mainstream media. So that'll prevent anyone shouting about you may be committing, putting the case at risk, because I know for a fact that some of our mainstream media have further details that they haven't put out, and nor will I, due to reporting restrictions. But there is more information known about this case, but unfortunately, due to legal system and how you report on it, they're not allowed to talk about it. And I probably could, but I would then put this trial at risk, and I'm not prepared to do that. So to play it safe, the only information I am going to divulge today is already in the public domain. However, I will point out facts that can be taken from that information that may be new to you. So let's look at the facts. Let's look at the timeline. Colin Smythe was originally charged on the 5th of this month for owning pictures of children. He wasn't suspended by the Labour Party until the 20th, over 2 weeks later, which is a bit strange. Then, three things all happened on the 28th of August. One, he had received a further charge of placing cameras hidden inside Holyrood. On the 28th, the police swooped Holyrood and didn't just check the toilets. They actually checked creches and other areas, play areas, used by children. Because people that work in large places like that, Holyrood, do have creches. And also, that building, because it has a Parliament for Scotland, has tens of thousands of children visit it every year. We're told that they swooped changing rooms. This is a bit bizarre. Now, what you can conclude, because the facts are already out there, that a man was charged in one day, and we're already told that the police on the 5th of the month took away a lot of, his phone, his laptop, and things that you would expect would be used in evidence in such a case when someone is charged with owning pictures. So those pictures were getting investigated. And then 3 weeks later, the police turned up at Holyrood because they had to sweep the place, because they now believe there was a camera hidden in Holyrood. Now, you don't need to be a genius to understand why they think there was a camera in Holyrood when they owned every picture ever taken that was on a device owned by the alleged criminal here, Colin Smythe. Now, that took 3 weeks. That might just be normal part of the course. There might have been a lot of photographs because they would have taken a long time to go through them all and try and identify who the people were in the photographs. And I would imagine that when you're dealing with such a serious case, then you would probably prioritise the ones of children, the ones that you've been charged with. But sometime in that investigation, it is completely obvious that they saw some photographs and decided, where are they? And they must obviously have been in Holyrood, or the man would not have been charged with putting a camera in Holyrood. That goes without doubt, if indeed the photographs were from Holyrood, because it's just alleged at this time. So I just need to say that for legal reasons. Now, when these photographs when this charge for photographs became on Thursday night, that and only then did the building, Scottish Government, in fact, the executive, took his pass away. Now, we have seen newspaper reportings that claim he was in the building at least once, and he gave a reason for that it was already pre-planned constituency business that he had to be in the building. But the Daily Record quite keenly, I'm trying to watch my words carefully here, but they quite openly said that he had access to facilities. And what they're trying to suggest from that wording, I'll leave to you and them. I'm just reporting what they said. And they said that during that at least one visit, he had access to facilities. The police then swooped the building on the 28th, 3.5 weeks after initial charge, and the day he was second charged, and 3.5 weeks of which he had easy and did have access to the building of Holyrood. And lo and behold, they found no cameras. So let me just remind you of the timeline without putting words into the video. The man was charged on the 5th of owning photographs, and on the 28th, there was no cameras found in Holyrood, although there must have been pictures from Holyrood, or he wouldn't be able to be charged with putting cameras in Holyrood, and he had access in it for 3 weeks. I think it's perfectly acceptable to take from that at least at some point in the past there was cameras in Holyrood, and I think it's safe to assume that the police done a thorough sweep of the building and there are none there today. So you must take from that they have been removed at some point. And the some point is quite important, because if the some point was between the 5th and the 28th of the month, then the Scottish Government have a big problem as well, because they gave a guy charged with indecent photographs of children free and unfettered access to what became a crime scene. Now, we've also got at least one concerned MSP, because the Daily Record put out last night that they believe that one MSP has been spoken to by police, not because he's been investigated in any way, but because they feel that this person, and a male, I believe, has a potential victim of the cameras that were in Holyrood. Now, again, that would suggest that they must have had cameras in Holyrood, or why would an MSP potentially, and as the Daily Record have put it, photographs or videos of him urinating in Holyrood. The most disturbing part of this whole story is that this man had 3.5 weeks access to a building that had 200,000 children inside it during his tenure, and is now charged with putting cameras in Holyrood. Now, common sense and logic would suggest that the only reason the police would know that is because they have photographs, and they've now actually spoken to an MSP who they believe has photographs of in Holyrood, and they went to the levels of sweeping the creche and other areas visited by children. Now, this isn't the only problem this leaves the Scottish Government. The other potential problem is, in the years that this man served as a politician and potentially had, as alleged, a camera, at least one, hidden in Holyrood, and toilets are one of the main locations. How many other, let's just use the word, dodgy activities take place in toilets? Now, I'm not going to suggest that any MSP or indeed any employee of Scottish Government is up to any of the various activities while at their work, But let me just give you a list of the types of things that other people in other workplaces have had issues with before. Some people visit bathrooms to maybe take narcotics, which has happened in workplaces before. People maybe want to relieve themselves when they have a bit of built up sexual tension at their work. That has happened in other workplaces. Some people end up having extracurricular relationships with work colleagues, where we've all heard stories of mainly disabled toilets, etc., getting used for such clandestine meetings. All these things take place regularly in workplaces all across the United Kingdom. If any of these things take place in Holyrood during the tenure of this man as a Labour MSP, you can imagine there would be quite a lot of worried people at this point. And I don't believe that if there was a camera, which it looks as if there is, or you wouldn't be talking to an MSP who they believe has been filmed urinating in Holyrood, then this might not be the end of this scandal. But the biggest bit right now to me is the Scottish Parliament allowed a man over 3.5 weeks access to a building after being arrested and charged with owning explicit photographs of children. And they allowed him what turned out to be a crime scene, because the second charge is because putting cameras in secret hidden locations throughout Holyrood. This story is not finished. Believe me, this story is just beginning. I find it most peculiar that one of the few MSPs to put his name, because a few have put comments in papers anonymously, but one of the few to put his name to a comment is Ross Greer. Ross Greer is most adamant that he has been violated. He feels violated. He took to a camera on Friday to explain how he'd been violated. Not one mention the children, 200,000 that visited that building while Colin Smythe worked there. If you want others to see this video, click the thumbs up, put comments below, hit the share button. If you have not already done so, please subscribe to the channel and hit the notifications bell. But the most important thing of all, unless you're the type of person that takes pleasure in having perverse photographs of children on your phones, laptops, or devices, or the type of person that allows such a person unfiltered access to buildings where children often visit, then not you, but everyone else, have a great day. Cheery bye now.